All right, we are live, and today we're going to use ChatGPT to generate models in Rhino using Python. So I I kind of have this feeling like should I just give up at this point? I can now ask a language model to generate code and then produce models in Rhino. So this is pretty cool, but I just want to give this a try, show everyone, see if you can use it in your process. It's not straightforward at first on how to do all this, so I just want to walk through what this looks like, and we can go through the editing examples and how we can mess around with this and really leverage it. One thing off the bat before we jump in is what's really cool about this is it's a really accessible way to start learning Python and how you can use it in your process. And at this point, you're just using copy and paste. But once you have that initial framework, it's actually pretty easy to make those adjustments. So let's give it a try. We'll see how it goes and make some adjustments from there. Also, as we go along, just drop any chats in the live chat here, and I'll try to respond the best I can if you have any questions. All right, so the first thing I'll just highlight here is that I did first ask, oh, this is another, we'll go to the Rhino one here. So first thing to know is I did just do a preliminary, hey, do you know about Rhino 3D? Are you familiar with the Python script language that can be used in Python? And then they gave me an example here. So if I go to Rhino, I can actually hit the Python. And so again, you don't need any coding experience for this. So to open this up, I'll hit Rhino Python editor. I'll come to the edit code, and then I'll just do a copy and paste. And then I can just run that code. In this case, super simple. It just drew a point here. But of course, you could potentially change this to anything. Like let's try line. No, it doesn't like that. But I could go back and ask ChatGPT what it would work. Okay, so that is the point. After that, I asked, can you make a script logic for a cube? So something just really basic so we can adjust this. And I will know, I did try this out in Blender as well. And there are a few differences just in terms of how it actually works. So in Blender, you actually are regenerating the script and it will update the object. In Rhino, once you create that object, it's a one-time command. So now it's created it, and I can now like manipulate this object. Oh, I lost my script here. Okay, so what's kind of cool here, so this is very basic. We can use a scale. This is using a scale factor. So if I put in 20, it would then scale up here. But you can start to understand the actual code that they're using here and then make adjustments from there. So let's say we wanted to have a corner point at 10, and like let's make this 40. And we can just play that again and see. Oh no, it didn't adjust that. Interesting. I think I need to adjust. Like let's say I adjust this point here. So this is point add corner point. I don't actually know what this 10 would be. But you can see here that now it's adjusted that corner point. And so that's pretty cool. You can start to just adjust these numbers and kind of see how the model would respond to start to understand the logic behind it, and then go from there, and you can kind of just keep building off of this. So let's do another one. And you can see that that other one, I now can manipulate it. And let's do side length 10. Just play that. All right, so what's kind of cool about this too is, you all know I love doing the command shift. I'm on Mac right now, so that would be a command shift. And then you can just extrude this up. And like, let's say you're just doing a very quick conceptual tower. You know, there's items that you can do in Grasshopper to streamline this process, but just at a very basic level, I mean, I could even just take this item and contour it. And let's say we want to do, let's go up. I'm going to go into here. And we're going to do like, let's do 30. And then you can kind of create floors. I could just do like a planar surface. Actually, you know what? For now, I'm just gonna like extrude this up once, 1 foot. Whoops. All right, it's harder to do this live, I guess. But yeah, so I'll just select these curves. And then we'll just extrude up a little bit just to get that overall idea. And then, you know, if you're doing like a quick render, like let's go to the render view. And so we have our, we have our floor plates. I could really easily then we're getting a little bit off track. We'll get back to ChatGPT, but I do like this as an example of, okay, so you've kind of made this preliminary shape, and then from there you can start to leverage a lot of your, we need to go custom material, some other practices to just rapidly prototype stuff even quicker than before. So that's what's kind of fun and cool about this. And you have that controllability with the actual thing. So anyways, this would just be a chance to kind of like get a really quick idea. And it didn't extrude correctly, but that's fine. We can deal with that later. All right, so now let's do another Python script. I'll just put this back to shaded, and I'll select these items, and we will move them over. Okay, so we just did a cube, and from that cube you could see we already did a lot of different changes there, which is really cool. So next up, like let's try same but a series of, how about since I already did these example codes, let's try to do this live. So let's do create a series of buildings, and we'll just see what the code is. And again too, you can ask it to refine the code. You can ask it to adjust the code if you don't really like how the default controllables have laid out. And you can also be very specific too about what you want to have to be controlled. So you could say like random field of cubes at different heights, and it would respond to that. So this is absolutely crazy. I mean, it's just typing out the code, and something I'd never really thought about, which was if I had previously been really good at Python, all these years, I could have probably done a lot of just like typing Python into Rhino. I just had no idea. But because we have these tools like ChatGPT, now we can at least get that preliminary code as also just a way to learn it as well, which is pretty fun. All right, so we'll do a copy and paste, hit OK. Let's see how this did. Pretty generic, but again, if we want, we can start to have a little bit fun with the corners. Corner width height. So let's just adjust some of these variables, and then you can see that right there off the bat, we get a series of cubes here, series of buildings. All right, so a couple other things to add, like let's do a field of cubes undulating in different sizes. And I'm kind of curious, like, how we can push this as far as possible. You know, like, what are the limitations in terms of the different Python scripts that we could develop just with ChatGPT? Because right now we're pretty much just doing some pretty generic prompts. We can go ahead and try some kind of crazy ones once this one is done producing here. And as it's producing that, I'll just go ahead and start kind of like adjusting these. So again, just a really easy way to kind of have some fun and mess around, play around with Rhino to really quickly create lots of items. You know, how this is different than, you know, using Grasshopper. I mean, you could use Python in Grasshopper. One of the items that is a little bit different is I would typically be inclined in Grasshopper to create a series of attributes that then you adjust, which I guess is the same as Python because you're adjusting those variables, but there is a slight difference in being able to have more complexity in terms of layering multiple items. But I'm sure as we get better at this, we can start adding that functionality on top of one another. So like, for instance, Grasshopper, you could just kind of like visually scale height really easily. And then at the same time, it could be contouring and creating those floors. So I'd be curious like how to layer both of these script items. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's try this one, see how it came out. So this is that field of cubes. And, you know, you can change the length, the height. And I like, when I did this in Blender, it actually didn't have this type of functionality, which is really nice. It's also a closed poly surface, which is also really nice. But yeah, let's maybe adjust one of these items and height, field size, length, max length. Let's go 40 or like 50. Press play. Nice. Max length 10. Press play. Corner points. Let's do these all at 10. I don't know if that actually adjusts anything. Yeah, anyways. So just some different ways to adjust some items. So let's try to layer multiple codes here. So let's see if they can do a contour function. So let's do create a rectangle with a contour function that contours a cube. So something a little bit more specific. I'm curious if they would know and understand the different commands in Rhino, which would be kind of crazy if they do. But this will be interesting to see if this has this capability here. Oh, it does have number of contours. In the script, create a cube, then define. All right, we're gonna find out. This is gonna be awesome if this works. This is gonna be super awesome. Nope. I think I have to specify. So it does say we use add contour function to create rectangle contours. All right, we need to adjust this a little bit, see if we can get it Let's create a cube function. I like that. So rs add contour. We need to adjust this prompt and see if we can get this. Create a long rectangle with the command and it is contour, right, when you select this. So basically I'm curious if it can, and it used, oh, add contour. I don't add, I'm not familiar, that maybe be made up. Contour, the rectangle gets contoured. We could spend some time trying to like look through this and see why it's producing that error. Contours equals, is it a contours? It's not contours. So maybe we'll know this. Contours, it still says contours. All right, let's see if it does it. If not, we'll just go on to seeing any. Manage has no attribute, add contour. So maybe instead of let's try contour. I mean, I literally just changed one thing. Corner point. Let's say Rhino command has contour as a command. Let's just let it know. I want to see if we can figure this out. The other I don't know if this is even a functionality within in Rhino to kind of run that. Okay, we'll move on from that item. Yeah, I guess there's no contour. We'll try it one more time. Nope. All right. I think we'll call that a wrap. Let's see. Run Python, so undulating cubes. Oh, series of, yeah, let's do just something. Let's see. Create a house with a roof and a terrace. Let's just ask it something kind of crazy, see if how far we can go with this. Ask Python. This should be interesting. This should be interesting. And then we'll call it a day after we go through these. See how this works. Also, let me know in the chat if you have any questions or things that we should try out. This is, I'm really curious, you know, how we can start to layer multiple commands and how that kind of works in the Rhino edit Python command. It might be at some point that you have to kind of like, because in Rhino you can also, let's see, Python. You can also run a Python script, so you can actually import an entire like file. Again, I'm not exactly sure how all that would work, but all right, well, let's hit copy. We'll have to look into that. And then we'll also have to do, no, it doesn't like that. Oh gosh, it did it. This did it in Blender. It did a house, but it was a little bit more basic. Let's try Okay, and I don't want to debug it right now. So let's just do create a house. Let's just try something simple like that. Let's see. Let's see how this goes. And yeah, drop anything in the chat if you want to ask any questions. Again, if you're just joining us too, we're just messing around with creating some Python scripts in ChatGPT and then copying and pasting it in Rhino. Just see what the capabilities and limits are. Overall, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway here is this is a really great educational resource. Nope, doesn't want that. All right, let's try to do, let's do a landscape. Landscape. Create a landscape. It did, so in Blender, it did create a landscape and it did create a house. So there are some differences in attributes in using Rhino versus Blender for some of these commands. And one of the biggest attribute differences in Rhino, you're running that command, it's baking that geometry. In Blender, it keeps updating it. So a slight difference there, but overall pretty similar. And it seems like the actual items that come up here, it seems like Blender's a little bit more conducive to some of these items, but no, it doesn't like us. Why doesn't it? We need to like, maybe if we just, so again, we go edit Python script to open this, do Control V, so copy code, see if this runs. Doesn't like that. All right, create a surface. Oh, what are all these points? Was that the topography? I have no idea if that was the topography or not. Okay. All right, let's do a copy code. Let's go Python edit. Edit Python script. Let's try one more time, one more time, one more time. Yep, it's creating a field of points. Okay. Well, I guess you can do, can it just create surface? No. That was a create surface command. All right. We tested the limits. There's a little bit more functionality in Blender, but we'll have to continue to experiment. Thank you for joining on this live broadcast here. We're going to call it a night. Have a good night.